I took a sip of coffee, but the taste was strange, too bitter. At that moment, a security guard appeared and quietly said, "Madam, don't drink anymore. Your son just poured something into it." I slowly put the cup down. My hands were shaking. One question swirled in my head: why? For years, I had given him everything: our home, our education, our support. And now, at 70, I was sitting in a cafe, afraid to drink the drink my own son had bought me. I did not look at Daniel right away. He stood at the counter, reading pastry labels like a man trying to look busy. The guard stayed near me and did not raise his voice. He was a steady presence. When I whispered that I needed the restroom, he understood that I needed help instead. He led me into a small office where the manager sat by a computer. The guard said, plain and calm, that he saw my son crush a small white pill and drop the powder into my coffee. The manager moved her mouse, clicked a few times, and told me she would save the camera video to a little storage stick. She placed it in an envelope, wrote the day on it, and handed me a clear plastic bag. I poured my coffee into the bag and sealed it. I held the bag away from me as if it felt hot. The manager handed me a fresh to-go cup with a lid and tossed the emptied one. I kept the sealed bag for the lab. When I came back out, Daniel smiled too widely. "They had your almond biscotti," he said, holding up a paper bag. "Drink before it gets cold." "Let us take it to go," I replied. We walked out together, but my heart was no longer walking with him. He talked all the way to my building. He spoke about money and protecting the family legacy. He said if we did not sign papers now, later strangers would make decisions for me. He used words like streamline and proactive. Not once did he say, "Mom, what do you want?" He said, "We need to make this easy." And what he meant was easy for him. At the door, he reached for my keys. He had been doing that lately. He had also started opening my mail and dropping papers in front of me. "Sign here," he would say, tapping where my name should go. "Bank forms, medical releases. Only in case you get confused," he would add. He also took over my calendar. "Your doctor moved your appointment," he would announce. He insisted on driving me. He spoke to the nurse before I even sat down. Yes, I am 70. I misplaced my good scissors. I sometimes forget what I came into the bedroom to fetch. I trip on the rug that my husband used to kick straight with his foot, but I still know what my name is worth. Age is not a permission slip for someone to take your life out of your hands. I thanked the guard again near the elevator and, once inside my apartment, put the sealed bag of coffee into the refrigerator. I stood with my palm flat on the cool door until my breathing settled. Then I called Ms. Patel, my attorney. She is calm, like a door that closes without sound. I told her everything, slow and plain. She listened. She did not rush me. When I finished, she said, "We will handle this. Bring the coffee. Bring yourself. Ms. Patel's office has plants that do not fuss and a lamp that makes warm light." She gave me water and called a lab that tests drinks. The lab sent a courier to pick up the sealed bag from my home. Ms. Patel explained something I want other women my age to hear clearly. When you give something to be tested, make sure there is a record of who held it and when. It is like sending a package with a tracking number. You want proof it was the same item from your hands to theirs. That way no one can say it was changed. We filled out the form together. We both signed. Then Ms. Patel and I made a simple plan to keep my life safe. We spoke in plain words. We would put my home and savings into a living trust. A living trust is a folder of rules. I write the rules while I am well. The trust owns my house and my savings, but I am in control while I am okay. If I become sick or cannot make decisions, a person I choose, someone steady, steps in to pay bills and protect the house. Not my son. Someone chosen for responsibility, not for blood. When I die, the trust gives what I chose to the people I named, without the long court process. It is not magic. It is planning. We would add a spendthrift rule inside the trust. The word is fancy. The idea is simple. It keeps anyone from grabbing the money early, even if they try to sue or demand it. The trust says no. We would include a no contest rule. Again, simple. If someone tries to fight my plan in court without a good reason, they get nothing. It discourages messy fights. We would set power of attorney papers but not put them into hands that might harm me. Power of attorney means someone can help manage my affairs if I cannot. I gave that power to two people who must act together, and only if a doctor says I am not able. Two people together reduces mistakes and stops tricks. And we would call my bank to remove my son's access from anything with my name. We would change my passwords and ask the bank to put a note on my account. If anyone tries to add a name or make a big change, the bank must call me first. We would set text alerts for any large movement of money. If you do not have this, ask your bank for it. It is very helpful. We would call my doctor and ask that I be seen alone at the start of visits. If a family member wants to speak, it can be after I speak for myself. This is not rude, it is wise. If I ever need help, the nurse and doctor will see it and tell me. We would tell the police what happened with the coffee. Not because I wanted to see my son in handcuffs in my living room. Because a report creates a record. If something else happened later, there would be a path of truth already started. We did all this, step by step. When you have a plan, your heart can sit down. The lab result came back later. The voice on the phone was kind. She said there was a strong sleeping medicine in the coffee, enough to make someone unsteady, confused, and likely to fall. Not a gentle dose, a dose that could cause harm. She did not use big medical words. She did not need to. I understood. The cafe manager sent the camera video. It was a little blurry, but it was clear enough. You could see Daniel tilt his shoulder, lift his hand, and let something fall into my cup. Then he turned his head and smiled at the barista like the world was as it should be. I saved the video, I printed the lab result, I put both on my table. By the time he decided to knock, I already had the coffee sample, the video, and one word no son wants to hear: evidence. He thought I would crumble. Instead, I simply pressed play and watched his future change. But before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and write in the comments what time it is where you are now. I sent Daniel a message. Please come by. Bring the notary you talked about. You said you wanted me to sign papers. Let us do it. He came because people who think they can win like a fast game. He brought a woman wearing a notary badge and a man who kept checking his phone. He spread papers on my table with a smooth hand. I knew what a durable power of attorney form looks like. The big word durable shouts from the top. Durable means it keeps working even if I am sick later. It is a strong tool. Strong tools fix or destroy. It depends on who holds them. The notary slid a pen toward me. Before we start, I said, we will watch something. Ms. Patel stepped from the hallway. I had asked her to come. Her presence is like a straight spine. Behind her sat the cafe guard with his cap in his lap, suit jacket borrowed. He looked at home in his own skin, even next to my lace curtains and family photos. Ms. Patel opened my laptop. The video filled the screen. The cafe, my son, his hand, the tilt, the powder, the small lift of his chin. The notary made a small sound. The phone man forgot his phone. Daniel looked only at me. It was a supplement, he said. I thought it would help your nerves. You know how anxious you get. Ms. Patel placed the lab printout on the table. Strong sleeping medicine, she said, plain and calm. Daniel laughed without smiling. You are all being dramatic. Mom, you repeat yourself. You lose things. I am trying to keep you safe. Probate is a nightmare. Taxes will eat everything. We need to be proactive. He likes big words when he wants to make himself feel bigger. You are trying to keep yourself safe, I said, from working the long way, from waiting your turn, from watching me live long enough to use what your father and I saved. He shook his head. You are not being fair. I slid another folder forward. Bank printouts, transfers to a company with a healthy name that turned out to be one of his schemes, withdrawals that matched his business trips. A note from a lender about his house being worth less than he owed. A list of digital coins that meant nothing to me except risk. A printed message he sent his fiancée. He had told her he would have the house by the holidays, like I was a chair he could move. I am not guessing, I said. I know. He stared at me in a way that reminded me of when he was a boy, caught with money from the church table that he did not earn. I had called that a mistake then. I had wiped his tears. I had given him back his smile and told myself it would pass. All I did was teach him how easily I would look away. "Here is what will happen," I said, and I kept my voice even. "We are not signing any papers you brought. The legal papers have already been signed, but not by you and not the ones you want. I signed a living trust with Ms. Patel and good witnesses. My house and savings are in the trust now. I wrote the rules. The trustee is a steady person I chose. It has a spendthrift rule. That means no one can take money early, not even if they bang on the door. It has a no contest rule. That means if you run to court to fight without a good reason, you get nothing." He opened his mouth, then closed it. "I also signed power of attorney papers that name 2 people to help me only if a doctor says I cannot decide for myself. You are not one of them. We removed your name from my accounts. The bank will call me if anyone tries to add a name or make big changes. My doctor will see me alone first. And I filed a police report about the coffee. This is not me doing something to you. This is me stopping you from doing something to me." His face changed, looking for a shape that fit. He tried a new one. "So you would send your own son to jail?" "I am telling the truth," I said. "What happens after is up to you and the law. I would rather you sit in a quiet room and tell a counselor the truth. Either way, truth is waiting." The door opened then, and my granddaughter Lily stepped in with her backpack. She froze at the sight of everyone and everything on the table. Her eyes moved to the laptop. She saw the paused video. She looked at me. "Are you okay, Grandma?" "I am okay," I said. "I am awake." She turned to her father. "Did you put something in her drink?" He did not answer. That was answer enough. "You always say family is everything," she told him. "You say it all the time." "It is," I said. "That is why we do not hurt each other for money." Daniel's shoulders slumped a little, like a shirt finally too heavy to wear. "What now?" he asked in a small voice. For a moment I saw the boy who used to fall asleep in the car with grass stains on his knees. "Now," I said, "we live by rules. Ms. Patel will send you a copy of the trust. There is a letter with her that says how you could be considered later. It asks for steady life for years, not weeks. Real work, no schemes, no hidden debts, no big risks with money that is not yours. An apology that is not a speech. Proof of all of this. If you do those things for a long time, I will think about changes. I am not promising. I am leaving a door that you can work toward. That is cruel." "That is a boundary," I said. "A fence helps the garden grow." He did not fight more in that moment. He took the papers he had brought and put them back in his folder. He looked at Lily. She did not run to him. She stood by me, not touching, but close. You cannot hold someone up forever. Sometimes you have to let them find the ground. After they left, Ms. Patel and the guard sat with me while I made tea. We went over the plan again. She repeated the plain parts of the law until my shoulders lowered. The guard ate a lemon cookie and asked if he could take one to his mother. I told him yes. He told me his grandmother taught him to iron a shirt. We smiled, then the house was quiet again, and the quiet was a friend. Days passed, the detective called, he had watched the video and read the lab report. He asked me to tell him what happened, in my words. I told him step by step. He said he would write it up and keep it on file. He told me if anything else happened, I should call right away. I thanked him. A short time after that, Ms. Patel said Daniel's lawyer wanted to resolve things. That means talk about how to handle it without making it bigger right away. We met in Ms. Patel's office. Daniel did not look at me much. He read a paper that stated what he had done. He signed it. He agreed to see a counselor. He agreed not to come to my home without asking. He agreed to stop interfering with my doctors. He agreed to a plan to pay back money he had moved from my accounts without my knowledge. He did not smile or shout. He looked like a man who finally understands that a hot stove will burn the same hand every time. I began to feel stronger because I did small things each day. I changed my locks, not because I was afraid of night, but because a lock is how a house says, I decide. I put my good scissors in a dish by the phone and told myself where they live. I put a note inside my pantry that said, You are not forgetful. You are careful. I told my doctor that if I repeat a story, she can smile and then move me along. We laughed. We made a plan that if my memory changes in a big way, we will talk about it with me in the room, not around me, not over me. I called my church and offered to help with the roof. I told the woman on the phone that I wanted to keep the rain outside where it belongs. She cried. I cried. Doing something kind made the ache inside me feel smaller. I visited my friend Carol with 2 cans of biscuits. We sat and watched the hummingbirds. She said, Men get strange when money looks back at them. I said, Sometimes women too. We laughed like old friends do, with our eyes more than our teeth. At night, sometimes I dreamed of a coffee cup sliding across a table by itself. When I woke, I made tea. I listened to the clock and the refrigerator and my own breath. It helps to count what is still yours. My chair, my hands, the picture of my husband holding a fish he always said was bigger than it looks. The potted herbs in the window that keep growing without asking permission. One afternoon, Lily came over with a stack of homework. We made lemon cookies, pressed the fork marks just right, and worked through fractions together. She complained about denominators. Then the answer clicked in her mind, and she smiled like a window had opened. She talked about orchestra and a girl at school who had laughed at her shoes. I do not like mean girls, she said. I do not either, I said, but I like the women some of them become when they learn better. She looked at me and understood I was not only talking about girls. Grandma, she said, Dad says you are mad at him. I am not mad, I said. I am finished being quiet. She nodded. He said he was trying to protect you. Some people use that word to cover something else, I said. Do you feel safe with him? She thought about it. Yes, she said, but I do not feel heard. That is why I am taking my life back into my hands, I said. So you can see how that looks. She leaned her head against my shoulder for a second. Teach me the fork marks again, she said. We stood up and pressed the little crosses onto the cookies like we were stamping a gentle promise. I wrote a simple letter for Miss Patel to keep in her file. I wrote down what I would need to see if Daniel ever wanted to be reconsidered, not to punish him, to protect myself, and to give him a real road back. Steady work, no risky bets, no hiding, truth, spoken without fancy words. Time. Then a new thing happened. Ms. Patel called and told me that Daniel had filed a petition asking a court to make him my guardian, saying he was worried I could not manage anymore. He said I was confused and vulnerable. He used the word competency. He said he was acting out of care. He filed it on a day when he knew Lily would be with her mother and I would be alone. I felt that old tremble in my chest. I asked Ms. Patel to explain, slowly, like I was her mother. She did. Guardianship is when a court takes away some of your rights and gives them to another person to make decisions for you. It is for people who truly cannot make decisions about their life and have no safer option. It is serious. It should be the last choice. Some people need it, many do not. If someone asks the court for it, a judge looks for proof. Doctor's letters, observations, history. The judge does not just believe a family member's opinion. There are steps. We will not be afraid, she said. We will be ready. We made a simple plan. First, I went to my doctor, a kind woman who knows me, and asked for a clear letter stating that I understand my life and can make my own decisions. She did a short memory test in the office, not to trick me, but to be thorough. She asked me questions about the day and where we were, and to remember 3 words and say them back later. She watched how I walked and whether I followed the conversation. She wrote a letter. She used simple language. I am capable of making my own decisions. I may be older and slower, but I am not confused. She added that if anything changes in the future, she would say so. I thanked her. I copied the letter. Second, Ms. Patel gathered our papers, the lab result, the video, the police report, the trust, the power of attorney, and letters from 2 people who see me often and can speak to my daily life. She asked the cafe guard, who agreed to write what he saw and to speak if needed. She asked my neighbor, who sees me on walks and at the mailbox, to write a simple note. I pay my bills, I manage my home, I speak clearly, I am not confused. Real life matters in court. Third, we made a list of all the ways we had already put safer options in place instead of guardianship: the trust to manage property, the power of attorney to help if I ever need help later, the doctor's letter, the bank alerts. We put this in one folder. Fourth, Ms. Patel told me a judge might appoint someone to come and check on me and write a report. If that happened, I should be myself, honest, calm. If I remember something later that I forgot to say during a conversation, it is normal. I should not panic. On the day of the hearing, I wore a clean sweater and combed my hair. I took a small notebook. Ms. Patel sat beside me. Daniel sat across the room with his lawyer. He looked smaller than he had looked at my table. He did not meet my eyes. He came to take my choices. He would walk out learning what a legal no sounds like. My revenge was near, and he wasn't prepared for my new determination. The judge was a middle-aged woman with a plain face that did not give anything away. She asked Daniel's lawyer to speak first. He said words about concern and confusion and protection. He said I was getting older and that I had made strange choices. He said the coffee was a misunderstanding. He said Daniel was trying to be a good son. Ms. Patel stood and spoke slowly. She told the judge that guardianship is for people who truly cannot decide for themselves and who have no safer option. She said I had a trust to protect my property. I had 2 agents to help me only if a doctor said I could not help myself. She said I am in my home, in my community, seeing my doctor, paying my bills. She handed the judge the doctor's letter, printed in big, clear type. She handed the judge the lab result and the video still image with Daniel's hand over the cup. She did not point a finger. She held out the truth. The judge called a short break to read. When she came back, she asked me to speak. I stood, held my little notebook, and told her, in my own words, what I do each day, what I want, what I have put in place. I did not act like anyone but myself, a woman who still knows what the grocery list needs and when the rent is due. I told her I have made mistakes as a mother by being too soft at times, but that I am not soft in my mind. I said I am awake, and I meant it. The judge then asked to hear from the cafe guard. He stepped forward and told the story without drama. He looked at the judge the same way he had looked at me. Steady. The judge thanked him. She turned to Daniel. "Did you do this?" she asked. He paused. "I made a bad choice," he said at last. "I was scared." The judge did not raise her voice. "Fear is not a reason to take away someone else's choices," she said. She explained slowly and simply that guardianship is the last stop, not the first step. She said I had done what the law prefers, planning ahead with safe tools, a trust for property, power of attorney for help if it is needed later. She said the medical letter was clear. She looked at Daniel. If you truly want to protect your mother, you will support her plan, not fight it. She denied his petition. She ordered that if Daniel filed anything about me again, he must show a doctor's letter and real proof first. She said if he keeps trying to take control without cause, the court can make him pay fees. She suggested counseling for him. It all sounded like a stern parent talking to an older child. I felt the knot in my stomach loosen. We walked out of the courthouse, Miss Patel and I. The air outside felt like a new room. She touched my elbow. "You were clear," she said. "Clarity is a kindness, even when it stings." After that day, something inside me settled in a better way. Not because a judge told me I was right, because I had stood, and my legs did not shake. I slept that night with my window cracked a little. I listened to the quiet street and the small sounds of my house breathing. I dreamed that I was sweeping my kitchen floor and dirt kept coming, and I kept sweeping until it was clean. When I woke, the floor looked normal. I still swept. It felt good to do something small and ordinary and sure. Daniel did not stop existing. He did not stop being my son. He sent a few messages that were short. He asked if he could bring Lily by on her way to orchestra practice. He asked if he could pick up the box of school papers I had kept. He asked if he could come over for a talk. I answered with simple words. Yes to Lily, yes to the box left on the porch at a set part of the day while I watched from the window, not yet to the talk. After counseling, I wrote, after some time. It felt strange to be his mother and to speak to him like that. Strange and right. His fiancée, a woman named Amber, called me once. She sounded nervous. She said she did not know everything and did not want to be in the middle. She asked if I hated her. I told her I did not. Hate is a heavy coat I have no use for. I told her I wished her well and that she needed to think carefully before tying her future to someone who injures his own family to get ahead. I did not say more. It is not my job to run other people's lives. Lily's mother, Maya, came by with a covered dish. We sat at my table and ate warm food and spoke about schools and shoes and the way Lily tucks her hair behind her ear when she is nervous. Maya said, I have worried about your safety. I said, I have worried about Lily's heart. We agreed to be honest with each other. We agreed that Lily does not need to carry adult problems on her back. We agreed that Lily should always know that my house is a place where cups are safe and doors are firm. Maya squeezed my hand. We are different women, but that day we felt like sisters. I added a few more simple protections, and I want to say them here because they may help someone. I froze my credit with the 3 big credit companies. It is a free request and stops people from opening new accounts in your name. You can lift the freeze when you need to for a short time. I added a camera at my front door that saves video. I told my bank that no one but me can pick up new cards. I bought a lockbox for my passport and my social security card and put it under my bed. None of these things are dramatic. They are like a seatbelt, quiet and there if needed. I also added one warm thing. I invited the cafe guard and his mother to Sunday dinner. They came with flowers from the grocery store. His mother wore a neat cardigan and spoke about her church choir. I made pot roast and potatoes the way David liked them. We ate and we laughed, and when they left, I felt like I had widened the good circle around my house. A letter came from the community college where David taught night classes for years. I had told Ms. Patel to include a small scholarship fund in my trust to help older students pay for books and bus fare. The letter told me that the first student had used it. Her name was Alina. She wanted to be a nurse. She wrote that a small amount had made a big difference because it arrived in the right week when she had to choose between a textbook and new shoes for her little boy. She chose the book because the fund helped her buy the shoes too. I sat down and cried in the best way. I printed her letter and put it on my refrigerator with a magnet shaped like an apple. Time passed. Seasons turned. I kept my appointments. I kept making lemon cookies. I kept listening to my own voice. Daniel went to counseling. I know because he sent me a picture of a parking lot and a text that said, I went. I did not cheer. I did not scold. I wrote, good. Later, he wrote that he had joined a group for people who have trouble with money and betting. He said they talk about impulse and fear. He said he feels like a child in the room sometimes, and that maybe that is honest. I told him I hoped he would keep going. He wrote, I am not asking for anything. I told him that was the bravest sentence he had sent me. There was one hard day. He came to my porch when he said he would not. He knocked and called through the door that he only wanted to talk. I did not let him in. I called Miss Patel and then the non-emergency police number. I did what I had promised. The officers came and spoke to him on the sidewalk. They were polite and firm. He left. I sat on my stairs with my heart pounding, and then I stood and made tea. I promised myself I would not break my own rules just because it is hard to keep them. Later, he texted an apology. I slid backward, he wrote. I will not do that again. I told him I believed he could choose not to. Lily played a solo in her school concert. I sat in a row with Maya, and we smiled at each other when we recognized the tune. Daniel sat in the back. He came in late and left early. He did not speak to me. He looked tired. He looked like a man meeting himself for the first time. I whispered to myself, let him meet himself, and I watched my granddaughter be brave on a stage. After the concert, she ran to me, and we did not mention the rest. Life is still life. The washing machine made a sound one afternoon, and a helpful neighbor helped me unclog the hose. My church roof did not leak when it rained. Carol's biscuits rose, and so did her spirits when her niece called. The hummingbirds kept finding the feeder. The bank sent me an alert about a large transaction, and I caught it and called. And it was a mistake from the utility company, not a trick. My doctor's office asked me to bring my medicine bottles to a visit, and I did, and we threw out old pills and kept only what I use. I am telling you these small things because they are what real safety looks like. Not fear, care. Then one more storm came, and I am glad I was ready. Ms. Patel called to tell me Daniel had filed again with the court. He had found a new angle, claiming I was being isolated and that others were controlling me. It is a common trick, she said, used by those who want to get past the fence. She was not worried. She said we would respond the same way, with truth and simple proof. We wrote a short response. We said, I see family and friends on my terms. We listed my safe helpers, my neighbor, who holds a spare key, Carol, who checks in, the church group, the guard's mother, who now calls me on Sunday. We included a note from my doctor that I had been to visits and was understanding what we discussed. We included my own short statement written in my hand saying I am building a smaller circle, not a closed circle. The judge said a quick hearing. She looked at the paper and then at us and then at Daniel. She told him to stop using the court to pressure me. She warned him that if he kept it up, she would make him pay Ms. Patel's fees. He nodded. I do not know what he felt. I know I felt seen. After that, Daniel became quieter. He focused on his meetings. He said he took a job that was smaller than the big dreams he had shouted about. He said it was steady and honest, and he was ashamed of how the word honest felt heavy in his mouth. He said he had sold the coin investments that made him feel quick and empty. He said he had no pride left, and that maybe that was a better start than pretending. I told him I hoped he would keep choosing slow, good steps. He said, I do not expect anything. I said, that helps more than you know. I did something for myself then. I went back to the cafe. The guard was there. He smiled. We sat on the bench by the window and drank tea. We did not talk about the bad day. We talked about his mother's garden and the church choir and the way people will argue about whether the pastry is better plain or with almonds. When I left, he said, you look lighter. I told him, I removed weights. He nodded. He knows how to lift things. A letter came from the college again. The second student had used the fund. His name was Carlos. He was studying to be a plumber. He said the fund helped him buy tools he could not afford. He wrote, when I graduate, I will fix leaks. I thought of my church roof. I thought of my own house, dry now. I cried again, a good cry, and hung his letter beside Alina's. I could end there, with tidy boxes and good letters. But life is not only tidy. A call came from Daniel. He asked if we could meet in a public place. He said he had a letter for me. I asked Miss Patel what she thought. She said, if you want to go, choose a place and take someone with you. Sit in the open, keep to your plan. I chose the cafe. It felt right to open the circle where it had once almost closed. The guard gave me a small nod when I walked in. Daniel arrived looking simple. No suit, no folder. He had paper in his hand and shaking eyes. He said, I am sorry. He did not give a speech. He did not tell me I misunderstood. He told me he wanted to be the kind of man who shows up for his daughter without empty promises. He said, I hurt you because I was scared of work and time. I wanted to jump the line. I wanted your years for myself. That was wrong. He handed me the letter. It said in clear words that he accepted the trust rules. It said he would not fight them in court. It said he would not try to change my doctor's mind or my bank's mind or my mind through tricks. It said he was in counseling and wanted to be a man who could be trusted with small things before asking for big things. He had signed it. His counselor had signed to say he was attending. I did not hug him. I did not hit him. I put the letter in my bag and I told him this. If you keep doing what is right for a long time, one day I will tell Ms. Patel to open my letter that speaks for you. If you stop, I will not. I am not threatening you. I am telling you the weather you will live in. He nodded. I know, he said. He looked down. Can I buy you a tea? Yes, I said. Tea is fine. We sat with our cups. We did not talk about the past much. We talked about Lily's music. We talked about the little scholarship and the fact that he still remembered his father's habit of whistling off key when he fixed a leaky sink. We talked about the bus that used to run past our old building and how we would count stops coming home. We did not talk about coffee. When I went home, I put his letter in my lockbox. I wrote a note to Ms. Patel saying that if years pass with steady proof, I may want to reconsider small parts of my plan. I did not change anything that day. I did not need to. I slept well. My window was cracked and the air came in, and I felt like an honest person. Life now is not a movie. It is not all sweet. Some days are sore. I still have grief for the boy who learned too early that his mother would forgive too fast. I forgive myself for teaching that. And I forgive him again and again, but with a lock on the door. That is the difference. I still misplace the good scissors sometimes, but I know where to look first. I still forget what I went into the bedroom to get. But I think for a moment and it comes back. I still feel the tremble sometimes when a cup clinks on a saucer. Then I breathe and remember that I choose what I drink. Do not wait for someone to be kind. Be kind to yourself. Make the trust. Choose the helper. Tell your doctor you want to speak alone first. Freeze your credit. Change your passwords. Ask your bank for alerts. Write a letter to keep with your lawyer that says what you want later, in your own words, written on a day when you are clear and calm. Put locks on your doors and your plans. Then open your table to the people who feed you with their eyes and not their hands. A legacy is not the house. It is what the house holds. A clean table, a safe cup, a girl doing her homework without fear, a roof that does not leak when it rains, a letter on a refrigerator from a student who bought a book and a pair of shoes in the same week because you decided to protect yourself and then decided to be generous. Sometimes I take down the chipped mug and make tea and sit with my hands around the warmth. I think of the day in the cafe when a stranger's soft voice saved me from a fall I might not have stood up from. I think of the days since, full of small, strong steps. I think of the word legacy, and I smile because I know what it means now. It means I am still here, choosing, breathing, stirring my tea. It means my granddaughter knows what a boundary looks like and what love with a lock feels like. It means my son has a road that is long and honest and that he can walk if he wants to. It means I planted some trees. It means there will be shade. And if you ask me at the end of all this, what I would tell the woman sitting in a cafe with a cup in her hand that tastes too bitter, I would put my hand on hers and say, set it down. You owe no one your confusion. Take your life back an inch at a time. You are not being cruel. You are being clear. And one day, when the kettle sings and the tea is simple, you will taste what safety tastes like. It is plain, it is warm, and it is yours. Do 5 years of steady, honest life sound fair before I change my plan? Or is that too much to ask? What would you prefer to do in my place? Please share your thoughts on this in the comments.
My grandma told me this story. I have many more stories. Subscribe so you don't miss the most interesting things.